Hello, this is Zeke777, and welcome to episode 25 of Arcane Revolution. Behind me, you can see I've got a little bit set up. So, this is the makings of the Infusion Altar. I think that's what it's called at least. If I open you up, I go to Constellation, I want Starlet Infuser. Okay, so close enough. So I still need to actually craft the block itself, but I have the entire multi-block except for the liquid starlight and the block, of course, itself. Now what I've also done is decorate a little bit. So I've been going along, I've got a lot more of the arches in place here. Cobblestone is just going to be, those are blocks that won't really be visible when it's completed, so it can be whatever. So I've been going around trying to figure out how to lay everything out for that, and a bit of decorating over here. I've got lots of these roof tiles, same lapis lazuli blocks, just a chisel variant of it. And I also put a wall here, so let's take a quick little look. If I fly around, we can kind of get a nice look at how it's coming out. So the plan is to have the blue go all the way around. The whole edge of it's going to be blue. I'll have a big building in the center here, probably taller than my actual Astral Sorcery area here, but that's okay. This is definitely doing well enough for me right now. I can craft some stuff during the day, and I think it's all the way full. It might be not all the way full, but I can always upgrade it later. But along with the blue outside there, I figured I want to actually decorate the infuser here. And it's actually interesting. So there's blocks here. Normally you cannot block sky access for the city marble. But if you notice, I still have these little white particles indicating that it is a complete structure. And we can test that by if we just place, say, that there, they all go away. So solid blocks, no. But architecture craft, these are not full blocks, so it thinks it's not there. So it works. And beside all that, if we look at my main altar here, the main crafting altar, my little attunement altar is actually off by a block anyway, so I'm going to have to move that direction, just one block. I'm going to kind of put that off as long as I can because it's kind of going to be tedious. Might be able to do it with pistons or something. It's just annoying, really. Move that over a block, move that one, move that one, move that one, bump all of the marble arches over by one. Yeah, it's just kind of annoying, and I'm putting it off, really. But like I said, that's going to be an extra block that I'll have, so there'll be a bit more clearance over here when it's completed. Anyway, let's go ahead and actually get started crafting this thing. So I don't need any of you. Let's actually figure out what this takes. So if we go back here, we've got lots of marble. Marble's essentially free at this point. Some aquamarine, that's easy enough. Liquid starlight, star metal, and gold. So let me go grab all that. And apparently I'm out of star metal, so I came back over to the first altar that I found and used crystal on. And I'm just going to make up some quick star metal here. And if we are lucky, we might have enough time before it's no longer night. So let's hurry up, go down here. Take some damage, don't care. And let's smelt up just a little bit of this. So 1, 2, 3, that's probably good. I probably should just toss that in directly. That would have been faster. What time is it? It's getting there. Okay. So you guys are now smelting. Let's go ahead and grab our star metal. Okay. If we're lucky, we can leech it and kick in there. Okay, star metal goes here, and we just missed it because it's going down. Okay, well, let me see you again next night. And as I'm looking at this, I'm kind of looking at the recipes. Arc furnace from Immersive Engineering. That actually looks really abusable. So stardust can be smelted apparently directly into star metal in an arc furnace. Otherwise, you can get 2 star metal out of 1 ore with some slag on the side. Normally, stardust is kind of a one-way operation, and you can get a whole bunch of it if you make the crystal clusters. Basically, instead of what I'm doing down here for breeding gems, you can take the rock crystals and turn them into celestial gems. Oh, got to see one work. Which is kind of cool. That means that is completely renewable, and if I can get an arc furnace going, then this I'll never have to craft again, which seems like it might be pretty useful. Forgot I had this mod. Survivalist brush. This is a basically, if you remember World Edit or the brushes with World Edit, you can make those. It's of course no longer creative and it requires items in your inventory, but useful for doing things like landscaping. And also while I'm down here, I might as well point out the system. I've got all 3 of these set up and running. I did have to make a small modification. The iron droppers I was using before, they don't use the vanilla thing where it's randomizer. So basically, it would always take the first one, which meant that it would just never really work properly. So instead I've got droppers facing up into a hopper, into an open crate. Ensures it drops straight down, and gets all the wonderful randomness of a regular vanilla dropper. That being said, I think these guys are almost full. Yeah, so those two are full. This one over here is just missing one. So it has been working for splitting it as well. So that is awesome. That's working properly. The only thing that is not working how I'd like is these guys, the output routing nodes. I'm having issues with the priority setting. So it is working, for the most part, seems to be working now. These are going in here. Lots of perfect crystals are being made. I need to have another output chest for leftover, or I guess extra, celestial crystals after they've been split. So a lot of these are getting close to splitting again. This one here should be. So once that is full, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, like this guy here, he'll split pretty soon. Same with this one. Yeah, once it splits, then I'm not really sure it's going to end up, I think, just going to this hopper. Hopper's probably just going to sit there full for a while, and eventually break the system once they fill up enough that it's no longer taking from this hopper. So, a little annoying. I'm going to have to get the priorities working out properly and have a proper output chest. Alrighty, so spent the day basically just putting in more architecture blocks. Got, I think, most of that rounded out over here now. But it is now nighttime, so let's go over here. And this is slowly but surely inching up here, and I believe we should have enough. I think it fills up to like here-ish. So once that is full, we'll be right back. Alrighty, so it's got at least as much as I need, so we can go ahead and start the infusion. No clue how long it'll take, so I'm just going to let it sit for a little bit. One thing, and this is kind of a design thing that I'd like you guys' help on. Right now, for the roof here, I've got mostly the blue, but I've also got some white in here. Now, I can either leave it as steps like this, which I'm kind of leaning not doing that. White roof tiles, otherwise perhaps a different color, or of course just solid blue. That is also an option. So just while I'm waiting for that, figured we'd mention that. Ooh, and we are done. Woo! Okay, so we have ourselves a Starlet Infuser. So if we go over here, plop you down, thank you very much. We need a whole lot of buckets. Let me go ahead and grab... I don't have anything that'll make this easier at the moment. Let's go over here and just grab as many buckets as we can. Take you. Yeah, I can just take it straight out of here, so that'll work. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 actually, because the one I grabbed. 8, 9, 10 should be enough. I think it's a 3 and a 3. Or like it's 4, 3, so I guess that's 12 actually that I need. Let's go ahead and fill this in. 2 and 3. And I'll be right back once I got that done. Alright, now our Starlet Infuser, we've got starlight all around it, so we should be good. Now, there's no GUI on this, but I actually know what I want to make anyway. And that is... I want to make collector crystals, which of course are not going to show up in here. Right. Let's go ahead and look for infused. No, what is the word I'm looking for? Let's just go and look through the book. So the main reason I want this is for collector crystals. Now collector crystals, specifically the celestial variety, enhanced collector crystals, crafted the same way, but I need resonating gems. That is the word that I need, resonating gem. So let's go ahead, resonating, and that is just you take aquamarine, toss it in the infuser. Now, at the moment, it's going to be pretty inefficient, and it's going to, I think, use a liquid starlight for each of them. I'm not entirely sure. But good to know, it is still working even with stuff I've added on. So that should be good. I'm going to go ahead and make 4 of these guys. Alrighty, well, we were once again waiting on nighttime, and now, hopefully the constellation I want is up, but we want Avatos. So, what I've got planned here is I have a couple of these perfect crystals. I've attuned a couple of just the regular ones to toss in here, but it's not very efficient. So instead, once this thing starts activating, I'm going to attune a couple of these perfect ones, and I'm going to use those and turn them into collector crystals. Now, collector crystals, I'm not going to do anything too fancy with the structure yet, unless it just doesn't work, in which case I'll have to. But basically, I just want to get something set up so I can improve the yield of these light wells. I think currently I'm down to I think 90 buckets left. Where'd my buckets go? Do I have a bucket in here? Okay. Yeah, we're down to 82 buckets, so that is starting to fade real quick, but hopefully this should take care of that. So once this thing starts working, and I may have moved things around a little bit, I'm not entirely sure. Still no, or still not enough yet. Let's see, Avatos, are you... Okay, yeah, you're over there. So you should start working soonish. Yes. I had broken this spectral relay, so I'm not entirely sure if I placed it in the correct location or not. But we'll find out in a little bit, eventually. There we go. Okay, cool, it does work. Let's go ahead and attune you. Toss you in. Toss you in. Yeah, they're both perfect crystals, so it doesn't matter which one it goes first. Once that is attuned, I'm going to toss this one in as well. We can go ahead and turn it into a collector crystal. So that is almost done there. Fancy. One thing is I do want to automate a lot of this. I don't know if I'm going to do the same thing I did last time with the whole altar switcher. That was a huge, huge project to get that to work. That was just insane how big that was actually. There we go. You're working okay. But it would be nice to have it just completely automatable. Press a button, get Avatos ones, press another one for Horologium or whatever. That's a thing for another day though. At the moment, we're going to hope that we have enough Starlight. We may not. In the event that we don't, then we're going to have to go back a few pages here. Research. Probably exploration, I think. Spectral Relay. Does this talk about the multi-block? Yes, it does. Okay. Let's see if we've got enough. No, and it's not climbing. Okay, so we're going to have to do that whole Spectral Relay thing. Okay, so I built one Spectral Relay here. We'll see if that is actually enough to bump it over, or if it needs sky access. It probably needs sky access. Let's break you, which should make you think that you have sky access. You do anything? Yes, there we go. Okay, so we can make that. Not linking tool, but the resonating wand. Go ahead and activate you. That is getting a little close. I was hoping we'd be able to get more power out of this. I can always place some over here. It will start cannibalizing the Starlight. But if I can get to max efficiency, then it doesn't really matter anyway. So for now, let's go ahead, toss you in here. Sooty marble. Don't need any of that at the moment. We'll throw some aquamarine in there as well. Alrighty, we have ourselves our first collector crystal. Now, I'm just going to put it right here for now. And we'll get a linking tool. And we should select you. Bind you to there. That works. Awesome. Okay, so it's probably not as efficient to just bind it to all of these. And also, of course, I would prefer to have the structure around this. But this should at least make sure that I'm no longer going to be draining my Starlight that quickly. You know, I think I don't actually need to... Yeah, that works. Okay, so that is all hooked up. And let's get ourselves... Got a couple just random attuned ones. So these guys, I can put you in here and one in here. Cool, that's working. Let's go ahead and check how our Starlight is doing. Probably not that great. So we are down to 76, but it is increasing, and it seems to be increasing faster, so that's a good improvement. Starlight should also help it to last longer, so hopefully we can get a lot of power out of this thing. Grab another of these. One thing is that the shaped quartz, as well as the other plain radiant quartz, you don't get a whole lot out of it. I mean, you get more than a regular aquamarine, but it lasts a whole lot longer. So this should hopefully speed that up a little bit. It has been a very long time since I've been able to record. I have, however, been able to play a little bit, so I do want to go over what I've gotten done in the past several weeks. So, first off, you can see behind me here, I have another Celestial Crystal. I put one up here, which is now filling my Celestial Altar, and so during the day, this is completely maxed out, which means I no longer have to wait for nighttime in order to actually craft things here, which is very awesome, very useful, and really glad I found that. Next up, another thing I had made is a tree beacon. Now this is a fairly simple recipe. Let's go tree. A tree beacon. Pretty simple. It's leaves, resonating gem, sapling, liquid starlight, etc., etc. Real easy. And you just place it down. And then you bone meal a tree near it to make it grow. And it makes this little spectral. You can see it's kind of see-through. Yeah, so this is, I literally just made this shortly before starting this clip. And you can see right now I'm growing some ironwood in here. Mostly I want to see if it would work, because iron berries, as you may know, can be crushed into ironberry juice, which can then be turned into tiny piles of iron dust. So, kind of cool little source of iron. This is not where it's going to go. This is literally me just testing to see if it works. I also threw another crystal here to target towards that, as well as I now have 2 over here going into my little light wells here. Next up, if you look around, we've gotten a little bit more progress done on actually building our main structure up here, as well as I've pretty much completely overhauled our library. So let's hop down below here. I'm not sure if this is a path that I want or not, but I figure either way it's probably not going to be grass at the level it was, so I just took that out. Have a hallway here, and a hallway here getting over to our library. So your normal entrance to get into this area is, of course, either from the little elevator here, or flying in, of course. Down here, I have been working on my library. So originally I was thinking putting these armor stands up top on originally these little platforms here, the wisdom wood pigmented planks. I decided I didn't really like it. So I put them down here, and I'm kind of just playing with different ideas for what I want the bookshelves to be. This is a library after all. And leaning towards this one right here. Obviously I'll need to, whoop, let's not fall down Starlight, please. Obviously I'll need to put the rest of the books in here, but I ran out. It's kind of some basic work stuff. I did move the mana enchanter indoors here. I think this is where it's going to go. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the dirt. I think I can swap these out for floating as well, so that's potentially an option. Nothing special, haven't done anything with mana, I just moved it in here. That's pretty much it. And as you can see above us here, been getting into Arcane Archives quite a lot. I've been playing a little bit on their test server, just kind of see how I can implement it into this world, cool things you can do with it, cool things you can do just decorating even. So I decided I'm going to be using a lot of this. I really like the Radiant Lanterns, especially paired with the rustic golden chains. So that's a thing that's going to be kind of throughout this entire area, not just the library, but the entire Mage District. So as you come up the stairs here, I've got a little kiosk here. This will be like a little help desk. I'm not sure if I'll put anyone in there, maybe a wizard or something. And I have a small little reading area. So I've got benches around the edges, some tables I just kind of threw in. I do want it to be this low. I want it to be very small, and I want I'm going to be putting a bunch of bookshelves around here as well. Just to kind of, it's not supposed to be this open. I do want the middle to be open, and probably a bit taller as well. But for the most part, the reading area is going to be around the edges. You can sit down, you can read your books, whatever. So that's a thing. I did put in another staircase here. So this goes down just to make upstairs more accessible. Haven't really decided if I like the layout for this or not. It is kind of difficult since I did decide to make my life difficult here and use these arches everywhere. It really makes things, I mean, I think it looks amazing, but it does make laying things out difficult. Main thing is that this is a 4-block wide area here, which looks nice and open, all that, but lighting is a pain. I can't put something in the middle because the middle is 2 blocks. So I would have to do like 2 radiant lanterns hanging down or something like that. This works here. It's 5-block space, but that would be really tedious to overhaul the entire place and make it 5 blocks. So that's a thing. Next up in here, I turned my magnet off, right? Yes. So this stuff here is still going strong. In fact, going extremely strong. I currently have 19 celestial crystals in here, which are perfect crystals. These are size 900, purity 100, and cutting 100. That's been just kind of going in the background. You see it's going through quite a lot of fluid. I've been pumping more up top as well. Basically just, these ones here are overflow, so they'll be going back into the system once there's space available. So in theory, I'm also growing these rock crystals here. I'll get to that in a second. But in theory, these guys here, I take them out occasionally and increase their cutting. Do I have any that are Yes, like this one here, purity 100, cutting 100. This one will eventually turn into a perfect crystal. I'll put you over here. Same with you. You can go up there too. Yeah, so it's kind of working AFK. I don't need to do a whole lot to this place. It just kind of keeps going. Drains lots of starlight, but it works really well. Drawer here, you're filling up quickly. In fact, there's only 19 there because I already took out quite a few already. You can see each of these collector crystals, these are perfect crystals. So I've got all of those. I've got, I think these ones here are all perfect as well. Perfect and unattuned. Do I have any random ones? Okay. And then next up, I mentioned that the rock crystals. So what I've started doing is I've started breeding up rock crystals in here instead of the celestial crystals. Now, the reason for that is these guys are a whole lot easier to split. Their size is, I think, 400 is the max. Yeah. So he'll split using a whole lot less liquid starlight. So once I've got a bunch of these guys, I can just come in here occasionally, take out the rock crystals, and turn them into celestials. So I've got just an area over here, nothing fancy yet, literally just laying them down, tossing it in, turning them into celestial crystals. And the reason for that is those are the ones I can use up here for getting more liquid starlight. So the ones in here, this is an attuned crystal, but it's nothing special. The stats really don't matter when it's in here. And then the rest here is just more radiant quartz. And I think that might be an overview of everything I've done since we last met. As I mentioned, I've been getting into arcane archives here. And so this item here is extremely useful. This is called the Radium M4. This thing is basically, it is bound to a radiant tank. So it says used to transfer fluids to and from a radiant tank or reservoir matrix. Reservoir matrices are not yet implemented, but the tanks are. And if we hop downstairs here, and I should probably get a better way of getting down here, as well as I want to hook up some redstone to this so I can get a signal up top, we have right here a radiant tank. So this tank is just filled directly off of my big starlight tank here. I want to say, I'm using Wayla instead of the one probe, so I can't actually see the volume on that, but I think it holds 40 buckets. Now with this Radiant M4, what I can do is I can just go here and I can just fill up, and it just fills directly from that tank. Now I can't switch it around to filling mode, or to emptying mode, where I can pick up fluids. The reason for that is because this tank here is getting filled up all the time. So this is max filled all the time, so really I can't transfer it back into the system, but I kind of think I don't care. It works for what I need. And what I need it for is mostly for these guys here, filling up the celestial crystals. I can just go along, boom, 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 and I don't have to constantly be filling up a bucket. I don't have to do much of anything, except just kind of right click and it works. So Radiant M4, amazing. And it does also say what it's containing. It contains liquid starlight in Overworld, and it says link to 9096-226, which is the location of the tank. So very useful information. And a quick aside, I do want to say that at some point in the future I will be doing a mod spotlight of sorts on Arcane Archives. Like I said, I've been getting involved in the Discord and test server for that. So I've been trying to learn the ins and outs of it, how to best use it, how to apply it to this world. For the most part, I'm not going to be using the main storage aspects of it here, just because I already got a system in place. But what I do have is extremely useful, and that is the Manifest Lectern. So Manifest Lectern, it just opens up your manifest. So anything that is viewed by these monitoring crystals will show up here. Now normally, that's all it does. It'll just show you. So let's see, slate. I need to know where slate is. Well, slate is apparently up in this chest here for rustic because sorting by mod, so it goes in the rustic chest, which is cool, I guess. But that's all it does. It just points to it. But right next to it, I have my Corporea Index, so I can just go here and do I want lapis? Yes, I need lapis. I can just hit C on it, and I get my lapis. So very useful. It's all hooked up, and since I have it through the Corporea, which is going to be going through my entire city, I can basically just place it in an index and a manifest lectern, or just the manifest itself, and be able to get items from anywhere. So really useful. Let's throw you back in here, and don't need that dirt. And now that we've gotten most of our updates out of the way, we can get back to actually what we were working on. So we have ourselves our Starlet Infuser. We have the ability to get collector crystals, quite a few of them, I might add. What are we going to do with it? Well, there's a lot of things we can do with this. So if we take our tome here, go to Astral Sorcery, what can we do? We've got our tree beacon, so we can start setting that up. We have Stellar Refraction Table, that's useful for enchantments and stuff like that. Resplendent Prism, that's an interesting one. It can improve enchantments if I recall. There's a lot of things it can do. What do we want to do? Something I want to get into, and I think it's actually up a level. No, because Crystal Prism Infuser, it should be somewhere in here. Something I'd like to get into is rituals. So there's a lot of different rituals we can do, namely Mineralis, that's a useful one. We've got Mineralis discovered, so we can use that for generating ore. But at this point we don't really need a whole lot of ore. I mean, we can get meteors whenever we want. One very useful one would be things like I think there's one that prevents mob spawning, there's one that improves like rates of growth and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a little bit of research and find out what we want to do on that. So I'm wandering around my base thinking of the various things I can apply Astral Sorcery to. And, well, I found something. Unfortunately, it's not anything to do with Astral Sorcery, but it is something that needed addressed. So over here, we have our little Botania area here, which is generating lots of mana. Now, at the time, I think I had 7 mana pools up top here. I've expanded that a little bit. I've got all these, which are now filling up nicely. But the problem is, if you look down here, you see there's some lava sitting there. Now, what had happened was basically down here, this filled up. I swapped this out for a Elven Mana Spreader to speed up a little bit more. I may overhaul this whole setup here anyway, just with the spreader versus just using sparks, because this, if you remember, was when I didn't have access to sparks yet, so that's a thing. But important part is this lava sitting here. Now this lava exists because the Thermal Lily was aiming at this mana pool, which is of course full, and that means that it didn't need the lava. Even worse, these guys are still on a timer. Now if you have a dispenser with a bucket of lava, and you're trying to dispense into a puddle of lava here, it just drops it in. And unfortunately, that means I've actually lost, it looks like, oh, that one still has a bucket apparently. Let's take you out of there before that causes an issue. Basically, I seem to have lost almost all of my buckets. In fact, let me go through and check to see how many we actually have. We may have lucked out, but I think we are short a few. Yeah, I've got 4. So that's a thing. Let's check this guy down below here. He might actually still have... No, he's not. Okay. So we have 4 buckets of lava, which is nowhere near as many as we should have. So let's just bucket there. And a bucket here as well, because you can take mana now. So that's the thing. We're out of buckets, so this isn't currently really generating at the moment. We'll get around to fixing that in a little bit. So as I'm looking at this, we have a couple options. One is I can take a comparator output from this mana pool. I'll probably use like a red string comparator, place it over here, and have that disable my clock circuit. So that is one option. Another thing is we have resources now. So I think this has 13 block range. So if I got 1, 2, 3 down there, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11 if I miscounted, we should be able to reach all of those upper storage mana pools just directly off of the mana pools down here. And I'm kind of thinking that might be the better option. We can take a look at whether or not we can fit some more redstone in here. We might be able to, so I would still want to have some sort of comparator-based logic coming out of this, so I would check your level. So comparator will sit here, and that's going to go there. Unfortunately, I've got hoppers going underneath here on the clock, which is a little annoying. Let me kind of play around with this, some thoughts and ideas. We can disable... I suppose I can disable the output routing node. No, that's a bad idea because that would lead to leaving buckets down in this dispenser here, which we do not want either. So that's another problem. So that's not an option. Don't want to disable that. We just want to disable... So we want to disable this. So what are our options for that? So we can either do each individually, we'll turn off just their dispensers, or we can instead have it that any signal out of any of them of greater than whatever, doesn't really matter. Basically, if we have any signal from any of them at all, then it will disable the entire clock system. So there's a couple ways we can do that. I'm thinking the easiest is just going to be replace this redstone with a block that we just move in and out with a piston and stick a repeater here. So if the piston is putting the block in place here, then signal can go through. Otherwise, it pulls it out of the way and no longer will send a signal through. And I think that is probably going to be the easiest option. Now, for actually the layout of this, it's going to be a little tight in here because we don't have a whole lot of room. We've basically got here. Our options are we could do... we've got the redstone with Immersive Engineering here, Redstone Wires. That is an option, which I think is probably going to be the easiest, because then what I can do is I can just place this down here, just grab that, and do I need anything else? Comparators, that's the thing. So if we place our connector here, then what we can do is just link it all up to a single output up top here. Let's see if I do that. Okay, it's going to be kind of talking as I do it. Redstone wire connectors on each of these. Don't care. They're going to go up to a common line, which is going to come over here to an output. And that output is where I'll actually stick another comparator to see whether or not our level is above some thing, whatever it is. And since these will all be inputs, what will happen is it will, I believe, take just the highest value of any of them. So for instance, right now, you've got a signal of, say, 15 coming out. In fact, let's plop you there. You can go up to, let's stick it here. And then from there, you can come over, I guess, here. I'm going to have a comparator and a piston. Yeah, comparator will be here. Piston will be there. I think that'll work. So, comparator, so redstone wire from you to you to you. Similarly all the way around. One there, one here, and one here. So all of those are going to link together. You down to here. Up. Okay, that's going to be annoying. Okay, let me play with the layout of this. Okay, so I would have ideally put it on the mana pool, but that will block the spreader path here. So at least for now, until I swap this whole thing out for more sparks, that's going to be just over here. So link from you down to here. That works. And nothing is set as inputs or outputs, so that needs to be changed. Let's go ahead and grab our tools. I've got way too many hammers in here specifically. Here we go, engineering hammer, take you. And you are currently an input, you are now an... Yes, all of your inputs. You, however, are an output. And that does not work. Okay, I know how to fix this. That is easy enough, actually. Take you, take a block. Let's take some living rock because it's on me and it's fancy. Place you on here. So the problem is you can't power this directly. You have to power the block that's on or have a redstone wire going into it. Apparently the comparator itself does not count. So let's move things out of the way here. You can now connect up top here. And similarly down here, you also need to be broken. Let's take this, place you on top of here, and relink it. You down here. Now from this one, I should get a comparator signal coming out. Maybe? No? Apparently not. Oh, swap you to input. There we go. Okay, now we have our redstone signal coming out the bottom here. In fact, let's grab a dot of redstone just to be able to check. We have a strength of 15. Break you, please. Okay, so that works. I need to bump these all up by 1. No big deal there. Alrighty, we have our comparators, we have our blocks, we have our redstone connectors. These are all going over here. So this over here should be max of whatever is out there, which is currently 15. So let's go ahead and break that. Signal's going to be coming out of here still. We'll probably move you over by a block. Otherwise I could have just moved this, but whatever. So let's see if I have a piston on me. I should. Sticky piston, thank you very much. Take this, place you here. That pops up. which basically is going to then disconnect the signal once you are above a certain threshold, which currently is 0, so it's just going to be straight out whatever. That is easy enough to change. We can take our handy dandy bookcases here, and I don't have my little magic ones on me, so that's okay. Place you here, so that will power that block. In fact, just to be sure, let's turn it this direction. I don't want to have a block here because that may power this block based off of our bookcase. I don't want to power this block because there's redstone next to it and funny business quasi-connectivity stuff with sticky pistons. Block can go up top there, thank you very much, and a repeater coming out. So 1 repeater please. And right there. Now if I disconnect this, let's break that so it doesn't go through. I want to see whether or not that signal comes through. I think it won't because this is not aimed directly at it. That's actually interesting that it does work. Kind of. Quasi-connectivity. Okay, that's easy enough to fix. Let's just move you over by 1. Place you here instead. Mr. Hovering Hourglass, take our soul sand, pop you back in, and now that is aimed directly at it. So now if I place this, is that actually going to power things? It's now a 0-tick pulse, or a 1-tick pulse. Okay, so that did fire all the dispensers. You can hear that there. Let's try it again. Yeah, so it does get a signal through here to fire the dispensers. So this works actually. It's just gonna pulse that each time, which I kind of don't care about. If this is on, it doesn't go through. If it is off, then it'll just pulse that each time it fires these guys, and I think that's fine. It doesn't really add or subtract to anything. That's just gonna be what it does. So that is cool, that works. Let's go ahead and grab a book for this. Okay, just picked up a book, and let's go ahead and set this. Now the actual level mostly doesn't matter. The whole point is we don't want to be sending extra lava like this if any one of these mana pools here is over some critical threshold. Honestly, as long as it's not max, that's kind of all I care about. But just for fun, let's stick it there. That's a signal of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So right now we're getting 16 out here anyway, maybe 15. Yeah, 15. So that should then disable this. So eventually this will be low enough that it'll start actually being able to start doing the pulsing again. And in the meantime, I currently don't have any buckets in the system, and that's fine. We'll get some more buckets. We've got plenty of mana already right now anyway, and we're not actually using a whole lot of it to begin with. But I think this area here is at least now fixed. If not, it's still not actually decorated. But it does actually work. It is now working properly, and it'll now have a nice little safety shutoff to stop sending lava. And last but not least, of course, we do need to throw our buckets back in the dispenser here, which will start working. It's able to pull out the bucket. Excellent. We may want a slightly slower timer on that now that I think about it. But that does work. So that has now filled that up. These guys all have lava buckets. They're quite happy. It's not breaking anything yet, so we should hopefully be in a working system. So I'll keep watching this over time, and we'll see if once this drains out all the way, it should always being the operative word here, it should lower the piston, and everything should be back in action. And that, of course, had absolutely nothing to do with Astral Sorcery, but that's okay. So back up here in Mage District, what do we got? So we have, of course, our Celestial Collector Crystals, which are doing quite nicely. I forgot to disconnect before turning that off, but whatever. Very cute, thank you. So that's the thing. What do we want to do with this? Well, we have a couple things we can do. One is, of course, rituals. Another is lenses. So we have colored lenses. These are from Astral Sorcery, of course. What have we got? We have ignition, we have break, we have growth, we have damage, we have regeneration, we have push, we have spectral. So spectral can go through walls, otherwise they are blocked by solid blocks. Push is used for pushing entities, so that is both mobs and item entities, so you can move things. Regeneration is exactly what it says on the tin. Damage, again, same thing. It'll damage things. I believe this one doesn't damage people. Worth testing, not sure. Growth, that'll grow your crops for you quite nicely. Works really nicely in conjunction, like it did last season, with, what is it, 4 mana generation. You can use the cake. Yeah, it turns pumpkins into cakes. That's the thing. Yeah, growth will grow the pumpkins really quickly. Break, that'll break blocks. Ignition will ignite things, people, entities, but it'll also cook things. So basically an instant smelter that uses no power because it uses just the Astral Sorcery little laser beam things. So, what do we want to do? We can also, like I had before, there's the tree thing. So, what we can do, that was not what I wanted to right click. Don't right click with bound tools, kids. If we go over here to our little farming area, we've got what I'm currently calling my tree farm, and really doesn't deserve the title. That is this collection right here of just a big array of saplings. I come over here every so often, chop them all down. What we can do is swap that out for the tree beacon. Now another thing we can then do is we can take an ignition lens and we can cook our trees. So we can break it, get all the wood out of it, turn the trees into charcoal, then over here route everything over to another system, which we will fly over here and demonstrate. There we go. Right over here is our blood infuser from Evilcraft, which can make blood waxed coal. All this to then, this is a long setup here. So blood waxed coal, I have currently moved my embers bore over here to our little power facility. And the reason for that is I've got a thing going here. This is from Embers Rekindled and Mystical Mechanics, sorry. Steam engine takes steam, which we have plenty of now. Steam goes to the gearbox frame goes to a long iron axle, which goes to another gearbox frame, which goes down here, which goes to our mechanical bore, which goes to our ember bore. Yes, long setup. Basically all that to say, we can either use the steam power stuff here, which requires me to finish setting up the automation up there, which is sorting items at this point, or we can just take a whole bunch of blood waxed coal, toss it in here, and call it a day. I'm kind of thinking just doing that. But unfortunately, that is actually a bit of a larger project overall. Of course, I jumped from place to place here. It's going to be a bit because it does require routing a bunch of items everywhere, dealing with the actual setup of this. Because, I mean, tree beacon, it's not just set and forget. I do need to actually be placing the saplings down, so it's going to require some redstone as well. It's going to be a little bit to get it all going. But we can at least start for now by just simply saying, you're right here. Ta-da. Cool. That is a place for it. It doesn't really, it's probably not where it's going to be. But I need to figure out where that's going to be and set up a whole actual building for it. Because you can't just have a tree farm sitting out there in the middle. You have to have an actual building around it. But I do think that is a task for another day. It's a little late in an episode to be starting an entire new project like a tree farm type thing. So we're going to call this for an episode here. We got quite a lot done with getting Astral Sorcery more set up, being able to do infusions and attunement and all the fun stuff up there, whatever it's called. We can now get collector crystals, which means that pretty much opens up a whole lot of Astral Sorcery to us. A lot of these things need the little beams of light to be able to work properly. Rituals are a thing that I really want to get into. I just need to figure out what I'm going to use them for. So we've got at least the infrastructure set up. We have collectors going. We can now do that. And I also have my altar being able to craft at any time during the day. We now have a full, that light beam is now able to get it to be pretty much whenever I want. I can go up here and no longer have to wait for whatever time it is. I can just craft stuff, which is awesome. Anyway, it's been kind of a everywhere episode today. Sorry about that. It's been a while since I've been able to record, and so kind of lost track of what I was doing. But anyway, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.